All you have to do is call Farah and Farah. It's what we built. Jacksonville.
Electricians, innovators, and tech enthusiasts, listen up. Miller Electric is shaping the future, and we want you to be a part of it. From healthcare and data centers, corporate offices, aviation, and industrial facilities, Miller Electric is powering the most exciting projects in Jacksonville and beyond. We offer not just a job, but a thrilling career with great pay and incredible benefits. Visit us at millercareers.com to apply. Miller Electric, where your skills meet our vision, an equal opportunity employer.
This holiday season, sit back and enjoy your time with family and friends. But if you have relatives who always point out the stains in your garage, or friends who talk about the cracks in your patio, we're here to help. Shark Coatings can coat your garage, patio, or driveway before those folks come over for holiday dinner. So now, instead of politics and religion, you can talk about how Shark Coatings transformed your home before the pumpkin pie is served. Shark Coatings, we're ready when you are.
Be here and be loud as the Jaguars take on the Tennessee Titans Sunday, November 19th. Be at the bank for this divisional rivalry when Trevor Lawrence leads the team in an exciting matchup. Plus, join us as we celebrate Salute to Service and honor our military all game day long. Seats may be sold out, but a limited number of standing room only tickets are still available, so don't miss your chance to be there. Visit jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000 now.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. First round playoff games in the Jacksonville area tomorrow night. Niceville at Nice with kickoff at 6 p.m. Jackson at Rains, kickoff at 6:30. Episcopal at Riverside, kickoff at 6:30. Creekside at Ponte Vedra, kickoff at 7 p.m. Baldwin at Baker County, kickoff tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Middleburg at St. Augustine, kickoff at 7:30. Atlantic at Bradford, kickoff tomorrow night at 7:30. Keystone Heights at Yulee, kickoff tomorrow night at 7:30. And Bishop Kenny at Bowles, kickoff at 7:30 on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. 78 degrees at 2 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Frank, Hayes, Lauren, and RJ, The Frangie Show starts now on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Hey, welcome in. Glad you're along for the ride on this Thursday installment of the program. Frank Frangie along with Hayes Carlion, RJ Saunders. My goodness, I'm excited about today's program because our friend Tom Coughlin is going into the Pride. There's a whole lot of other things to get to, Hayes, but I don't know that there's anything that makes me happier right now than that.
Yeah, it's long overdue, and it's a wonderful day for the organization. The video that the team put out with Tony Baselli giving Tom the news, it was just spectacular, and what a wonderful, heartfelt, speeches to, but the way Tony conveyed what Tom's meant to the organization and what he's meant to him and his teammates, and it's wonderful. And Tony made the best point. Everybody that's on the building, Tom coached.
Right.
Which also means he brought them in. And again, getting back to what you've always said, he is the architect of this whole thing. He built it from scratch, as we were talking about yesterday, and it's richly deserved.
Yeah, it really, really is richly deserved. And I'm happy for him. So it got me thinking today, who are the best coaches we've ever covered? I mean, at whatever level. You can throw high school into it, you can throw college into it, you can throw pro into it. But if you think about it, he's like way up there. We've had Spurrier, Bowden, Billy Donovan, Corky Rogers. It's a hell of a list.
It is.
If the guys around here that we have covered, I mean, if you throw them all into one category, you don't break it down by pro, college, high school. You don't break it down by sport. What a list of guys we've covered. Tom Coughlin prominently featured among a great list.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, what a unique story, to build a franchise up, after having, great success at Boston College, and then to unfortunately reach the end of the line here and move on to the Giants and then win 2 Super Bowls over the Patriots dynasty. It's an incredible life in football, but and he deserves to be in Canton. And my hope is that, that day is coming in the near future for Tom Coughlin, but you don't have the Jaguars without Tom Coughlin in terms of the early years. All of that success, all of those good times, you can trace directly back to Tom Coughlin. And so, and again, before Doug Peterson arrived, before you had last year's surprising divisional title playoff run and what looks like another spectacular season this fall, before that, Tom Coughlin was a part of every successful Jaguars season except for one. I mean, that's amazing. The winning percentage when Tom Coughlin was part of this organization to when he wasn't, leading up to Doug Peterson's arrival, it's stark. I want to say I looked it up one time, and it was like they had they won 38% of their games without Coughlin and like 59% with him. I mean, it was drastically different. And it's just great to see. It'll be a great day, obviously. I know fans are eager to know the date. Obviously the schedule needs to come out in late April, early May. And the Jaguars need to see the home games and what's there and what makes the most sense. And so we won't know the day for many months, but I think the announcement's fantastic.
Yeah, one of the most enjoyable things I think I ever had a chance to do was last night. I was and I've emceed when you're old, and I am. You've emceed a lot of this stuff. The joy in the people's faces that went into the Florida Sports Hall. I told you this. I did it back in 17 or 18 when Tebow, Chipper, Warwick Dunn all went in, Tim Fincham. And they were great, and they were funny, and they were down, and it was an amazing class. But that class had been honored in many ways. You know what I mean? Tim Tebow's Tim Tebow. Chipper Jones, Warwick Dunn even, so, and Tim Fincham. And it was a great class. It was a wonderful class, and they were fantastic. But last night's class had not had all the honors. Now, Leroy just went into to Canton. I'll say you this about him. He sat in with our guys at primetime yesterday. He's on our air a lot. You forget how funny he is. That cat's funny. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is really and I said this when we brought him up there. The way we did it is, and the hall had a really good plan, I think. Rather than your standard Hall of Fame where there's a presenter and the presenter talks for a while and then the honoree has a list of people he thanks and he or she thanks, and what they did is they had a vignette about him, like they all do, got called to the stage with a walk-up song. They got Rick Hatcher, the president of the hall, handed them their crystal. They shook hands. And then they came with me. We had a little setup, just a sitting area where we interviewed them. And we spent about 5 to 7 minutes just asking them questions. And it was really cool. They were funny. They were down to earth. The idea, and I hope we accomplished it, was to make it more of a relaxed setting so you could just sit back and tell stories rather than feeling like you have to perform. And it was, and what a group. I'm going to talk a little bit about all of them today, but what a group it was. But Tom was really excited. They were all excited, Hayes. But I could tell this all means a lot to Tom. Tom Coughlin, number one, is a really good man. That's first. Really good coach. Really loves the First Coast. Really cares about the First Coast. Lost his beautiful wife Judy, as people know, after a long illness. And just this meant so much to him. All of it meant so much to him, and it was really cool. And I say that for all 7 of those that went in, including the 4 or so that have Jacksonville ties. But it was, you could see the joy and appreciation on his face. I guess that's where I'm going with
That's really awesome. I mean, it was an unbelievable class. And what was there a story that grabbed you the most, or something you weren't aware of?
There were probably, from all of them, oh my goodness, I lost track of how many. Leroy Butler's story on the Lambeau Leap was just tremendous. I said, listen, I've asked you about the punt Ruski 1,000 times. I know every detail of that. I've heard him tell the story. I heard Bowden tell the story. I've heard it from the Clemson side. I know that story. I'd never asked him about the Lambeau Leap. And he was so funny. He said it was cold as could be. He said, I'm a Southern guy. I don't know what happened. It was 12 degrees that day. Do they cancel the game? Do they play? And just to hear the way he told the story. And he said, but when I'm running, I could tell those people in the stands, they were warm. I needed to get to the warm. and I won't do it justice, but of all the stories, Greg Coleman told some terrific stories. Greg Coleman told the punter. He told a great, I said, how do you become a punter? He says, well, I was watching the game on TV. And it was the Baltimore Colts, and they were in the all-white uniforms. See, the all-white. He said, and I'm watching them, and I'm watching the game. And he said, I watched, and back then it was old school where there were no personal fouls then. He said, I'm watching, they're all dirty and bloody and look like they're hurt and their teeth are missing, except for one guy. He said, the punter guy.
Yeah.
He said, the punter guy never got dirty. I said, that's for me. Yeah, I mean, there were stories like that. Elaine Larson, the drag racer, told some really funny stories about how she got into it. One of only 3 jet pilot drag testers in the world, and that's not true. One of only 15 in the world, and one of only 3 women that have ever done it. I mean, that actually test drag racing. She went 336 miles an hour.
Wow.
Let me say that again. 336 was her miles per hour. Listen.
That's incredible.
Let me tell you kind of the insight you get around here. Here's what I'm going to give you. That's really fast.
Yeah.
336.
That's moving.
Yeah, 336.
Yeah.
So she told some funny stories. Shannon Miller was delightful as you imagine she might be. Again, it was a really, really good class. I love talking to Jeff Johnson. He was a longtime junior college baseball coach at Chipola. He's been there. He has almost 1,000 wins, won 2 national championships. A guy that had 19 major leaguers come through there. 19. Russell Martin and Jose Bautista and so many really good players that have come through there. Matt Gamble from here in town, and had a number of chances to go at Division I schools. I mean, if you're there as long as he's been there, he said, but that wasn't the mission. That wasn't my mission was to help these junior college kids who often the world forgets about. The junior college athletes are often the athletes that get forgotten about. And he said, my job is to help them. Help the ones that have been forgotten. I'm telling you, Hayes, it was just a wonderful night. And tip of the cap to Alan Verlander, the Airstream Ventures people who put it on, the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. What they do is they move it around. I told this story yesterday. They move it around all over the state. It's in Miami, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville. And when they go to a certain area, every so many years, a lot of the inductees that year are from the area, like Jacksonville. And they pick some goofball broadcaster from the area, whatever area it is, to be the MC. And I've been lucky enough to be the goofball MC the last 2 times they've been here. And it's just wonderful. It was a wonderful event. I was proud to be part of it, and tip of the cap to the Hall of Fame for putting it on. And to the Jaguars today for announcing 1 day later Tom Coughlin going into the Pride. I'm so excited about that. We'll also talk some football today, by the way. 49ers and Jags, we'll certainly talk about that. We'll talk about Greg McGarity stops by today. I'll speak to some of his folks tonight. I'm looking forward to that as well. We'll talk some college football. Got a lot of stuff to get to on the program today, and I'll tell you a little bit more about last night. But the story of the day, Tom Coughlin going into the Pride, I think is just wonderful. Glad you're with us on a Thursday, an Old Rock Thursday, and also a Stanley Pools Thursday. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show, live from the Hastings Injury Law Firm Studios on 1010XL. Hit back with Hastings.
Catch high school football play-by-play on 1010XL.
It's round 1 of Region 1 2M playoffs. Bishop Kenny at Bowles. Friday night at 7:30 on 1010 AM and 92.5 FM.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? Frustrated taking pills that don't work? Here's a message from Prime Men's Medical Center.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough treatments with men lasting longer than ever without pain or surgery.
Call now. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results right in the office. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
Arthritis is the most common cause of joint pain in America and affects more than 50 million adults. Dr. George Bari here, and no one wants to deal with pain without solutions on how to feel better. For reliable diagnosis and comprehensive treatment options, come see me and the specialists at Barry Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. With more than 35 years of experience in orthopedics, our team delivers compassionate and dedicated care to relieve your pain. Set up a visit today by scheduling online or calling the office. Log on to BarryOrthopedics.com with locations across Jacksonville.
The IRS has just received $80 billion in funding to hire additional agents for aggressive collections enforcement. If you owe the IRS, now is the time to take action before the IRS comes after you or your business. There's no time to waste. Call J. David Tax Law, a firm right here in Jacksonville, for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or visit jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamfindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Attention golfers, Hidden Hills Golf Club has a little bit of something for everyone. So whether you want to practice, play, or just relax with friends at the Hills Grill, Hidden Hills is the place for you. If you love golf, check us out at hiddenhillsgc.com.
Catch up on Cristobal and the Canes. Listen for the Performance Painting Hurricane Report on 1010XL.
The holidays are around the corner, and the last thing you want is a septic emergency. Call Duck Duck Rooter and schedule your septic tank pump out or full system inspection. 904-862-6769. That's 904-862-6769.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at Goosehead.com.
Have you been thinking about selling your home and just think it's not the right time? You just see a lot of problems out there with getting it done? Let me send you to the problem solvers. That's Chad and Sandy at chadandsandy.com. If you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how, Chad and Sandy are. Chad and Sandy go this far and make you this guarantee. They will sell your home or they will buy it. Carl and Diana in Argyle in Orange Park said, our dream was selling our home so we could travel full-time in our RV. We just had to sell our home for a big price to have the cash to do it right. We heard Chad and Sandy on the radio, hired them, and sold in 10 days at the highest sales price in the neighborhood. It's time to hit the road in style. And when it comes time to sell your home, sell it in style with Chad and Sandy. Go to chadandsandy.com right now and find out more. Or, as always, you can reach them via the phone lines at 904-414-6200. They are the agents we recommend. They're chadandsandy.com.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. When it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Huge Glock sale going on now at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Stop in today with prices on Glock sidearms so good we can't even say it on this radio commercial. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's an Old Rock Thursday. Music the way it should be, or at least used to be, on The Frangie Show.
Did you know, Hayes Carline from the Bowl School, that 52 years ago today, Stairway to Heaven was released?
Wow, I did not know that.
52 years ago today.
I got excited when I heard this music because I thought Blaylock was getting ready to join us.
Absolutely. She ought to be listening, and she'll be very happy that Led Zeppelin today on Old Rock Thursday, 52 years ago today.
That's awesome.
That Stairway to Heaven was released.
Well done.
So you'll hear you'll hear Stairway to Heaven, by the way, at some point during the program too. But that is Black Dog, one of my favorite. I'm not a big Zeppelin fan.
Mm-hmm.
I know just the hits. I don't know the deep cut stuff. But it's about 4 or 5 I really like. And
that's kind of how I am.
Yeah, so you'll hear the 4 or 5, and you also hear one I don't like because Blaylock makes fun of me for how much I don't like it. So you're gonna hear that today too. That comes up today on the program. Glad you're with us, Frank Frangie, Hayes Carline, R.J. Saunders. Lauren is on vacation. She'll be back in here with us Monday on the program, but she'll join us for a pick. I haven't gone over the picks from last week, but I'll go over those at some point.
Oh, that's right. We got to make some picks.
I also haven't come up with the games yet. I guess I have to come up with some games. You got any ideas for games?
Do we want to do? So we're not doing Florida State, Miami. Do we want to do Florida, LSU?
I don't think so.
Will Lauren pick Florida?
I don't even think she'd pick them then. We might.
Yeah.
I may
RJ, you would take LSU, right?
Oh yeah, I'd take LSU.
Yeah, like a 15-point.
Well, Tennessee, Missouri is a good game.
That's a pretty good. We'll look at it. We'll look at some games.
Yeah,
we'll come up with some games.
Georgia, Ole Miss. It's like a 10-point, 11-point spread.
I like Tennessee, Missouri. We'll talk about some coming up. We'll go through a list of games.
I'd rather just do it all through the segment. Brainstorm.
We can't do that because we're going to talk some college football coming up in a bit with Greg McGarrett and Rick Ballou and Mike Golick. So I'm going to talk a little NFL today on our little program. We're only here 2 hours.
Oh, we got NFL picks too.
There's that too. How good are the 49ers?
They're, in terms of elite talent, I think they're the best in the NFL.
I think I do too.
Yeah. Now their depth, and again, this is why they're on the 3-game losing streak, because when they lose a couple of those stars, because they're so star heavy, they don't have great depth. So when they don't have a Trent Williams, a Deebo Samuel, they feel it. But if they're going to have Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams seems to be more in doubt.
Hadn't practiced.
Yeah, which is a really good thing for the Jaguars because he's sensational. So that could make Josh Allen more active and productive in what's already been a spectacular start to the year for him.
Right.
So that's good. But I mean, I think San Francisco is, in terms of talent, they're arguably the best in the league. I mean, to me, this is the hardest game left, and I think it's a difficult game. I mean, if I had to pick it this moment, I'd pick San Francisco. So in terms of,
I've gone back and forth.
I mean, how I'll feel Sunday morning.
Right.
When I wake up and we see the final injury report and get all that in. But my feel today is that, a very close game, entertaining game, but one that San Francisco probably wins because I think San Francisco is elite, and I think the Jaguars are very good. I don't know that the Jaguars are elite yet, and they potentially could be. So I think you're talking about 2 of the top 6 teams in the NFL, and San Francisco is, from a star standpoint, they're certainly up there, particularly if Brock Purdy plays well. I mean, that's the key to the whole thing.
And I think if there's a weakness on their team at a place of significance, if there's any weakness at all, their secondary is not as good as their front 7, but it's the quarterback. When Trent Williams plays, if he does, they have a really good line. They have stars. You knew Kittle's a star. You knew Debo's a star who's going to play. Christian McCaffrey might be the best back in the league. They're stars. They've got a lot of stars.
Nick Bosa's a star.
Nick Bosa's
He's
an absolute
slow start.
Well, Warner's a star. You go defense. Warner might be the best middle linebacker in the league.
Probably is.
So they've got stars. Their weak areas, if they're weak at all, the secondary, and if you can take away the run or just take away gadgets or take away whatever, and just make Brock Purdy beat you, that's your best chance to be. And that doesn't mean he's not good. He's a good player. But if you turn the game into one where he's got to win the game, he will make mistakes. And I think that's maybe the only way to beat them is that. And teams have figured it out because they've lost 3 in a row, and he has not been great in those three games.
Yeah, you load up to stop McCaffrey, and I think the Jaguars should have confidence that they can at least slow him because of how well they've done defending the run this year. So I think the magic number there is if they could hold McCaffrey to 70 yards on the ground or under. If that happens, and that's a tall order, but if they're able to do it, then that would dictate that Brock Purdy is in a lot of long-distance situations, and that's what I think you want to see because his decision-making is supreme, particularly for being such a young player. But I do think the physical tools can get him into trouble, and I think it's why he went so late in the draft. Is the athleticism is not always going to rise above the X's and O's with Brock Purdy. His mind does, and his mind does often. But can his athleticism also be there as well? So that's, to me, the recipe for the Jaguars. If McCaffrey is at 70 yards or under, the Jaguars win the game. In terms of rushing, now that doesn't mean he could have 40 yards receiving, and that's fine. I'm talking about on the ground. If you can hold Christian McCaffrey to 70 or under, I think the Jaguars win. If it's over that, the Jaguars lose.
Yeah, and that's probably right. If you can look back and Purdy's thrown 30 passes, that's a good sign.
Yes.
I hope he has 350 yards passing.
Yeah.
I hope Brock Purdy throws for 350. Because you know what that meant? That meant they're behind the whole game.
That's right.
And that's the way you would beat them. But they have a good team. They have a good fan base. They travel. I'll continue to say this. If you get a chance, buy tickets. It's sold out. They're announcing a sellout, I think. But am I right about that? Has it been? Maybe it's not.
I don't know that I've seen that yet, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, maybe it's not a sellout, but if you get your hands on tickets, get your hands on tickets.
It must be a sellout because my wife Jean is trying to go with some friends, and I don't think I think everything is resell.
Then maybe that's
so it probably is sold out.
Maybe I haven't heard the announcement of a sellout. I think here's the point. I think it's going to be a good crowd, but again, don't sell them. Don't sell them. Listen, Hayes, you said it best. Why be a football fan if you're not going to go to this one? Why buy them in the first place?
Yeah, this is why you buy season tickets.
Yeah, why buy them in the first place if you're
beautiful
not
weather?
Yeah, it's going to be nice.
And your team is 6-2, best start they've had in 23 seasons.
Yeah, and I think it's a team that being around them a little, I don't think it's a team that's surprised that they're 6-2. I think they looked at the schedule. I think when you look back, here's the deal. They didn't play great against Kansas City. Not terrible, but not great. They played lousy against Houston. And other than that, they've been pretty good. Not just because those are the two games they didn't win, but they didn't luck into any wins. I mean, the truth is they beat the Steelers way worse than the score indicated. I think they beat the Saints way worse than the score indicated. I think the Bills, I think the Steelers, Saints, and Bills, it's kind of an opposite of last year. Last year they had to learn to come from behind and did. This year they've had to learn to play from ahead and are only starting to.
It's a great point because that's the thing. They're not used to protecting yet.
Right.
And that's a work in progress, which is a great place to be.
Yes.
And so you're right. This is the first real – because even 2017 didn't really feel like this in terms of the protection aspect of it. There were some games certainly where in 2017 they got out to big leads. But it didn't feel as consistent as what this team early on in the first half was able to do. And so it does take us a different mindset to play with a lead and still play effectively, efficiently, still be productive, still put points on the board. But, you are playing with a little bit more of a conservative approach. And that's something that they'll grow in and be better at as the season progresses. And yeah, absolutely. You'd love to see that surge occur, in that, 5 minutes left in the first quarter to the first 7.5 minutes of the second quarter. And in that span, the Jaguars outscore them 14-0, and you're off and running.
Yeah, and I got a hunch that the Jags are going to play well in this game. It is a physical game. This is two physical football teams. It really is, man. This is two tough, hit you in the mouth, physical football teams. Both coming off a bye week, both fresh. I think the Jags will be pretty healthy. My guess is they're not going to have Zay Jones. We haven't seen an injury report on anybody else, but it wouldn't surprise me if everybody else plays. Wouldn't you think?
Be awesome.
I would, and who knows?
I would agree. I mean, it seems like that's where it's trending. And,
Yeah.
Again, Devon Hamilton's now had the bye week, so he'll probably be at, his most effective this season. So that's fantastic for the run defense. And, I think you'd have to be really excited that, you're going into this game and defensively you have everybody.
Right.
I mean, that's rare.
Yeah.
Have everybody.
That's right, and it's and everybody from the get-go. I mean, everybody you would want. And that includes DeJuan Smoot, who wasn't here before and is here now. So Devon Hamilton is now playing. Played 14, 15 snaps the other day. Got his feet wet. He'll continue to play better. So it's an important game. It's not a win or else game.
No.
But it's an important game. So listen. I'm thrilled for these guys. I'm thrilled where they are. I can't wait for Sunday. I've gotten to where I'm like a little kid. I think part of it is they're good. First of all, there's nothing more fun than going to a game or calling a game in my case or covering a game in yours. There's nothing more. We're in the business for the games.
Right.
The reason we got in this business. Fans buy tickets for the games. There's nothing more exciting than the games. What exacerbates it for me is when they're good and everything around the vibe is good. They're fun to cover. It's a fun team. It's and if you happen to be a graduate of the University of Florida at Gainesville, they stink,
yes.
Which makes it even more fun on Sunday.
Yes, the Jaguars have certainly been a guiding light,
yeah, right? I
in
mean,
a difficult football season.
If you're Georgia or Florida State fans, you got both.
Right.
You get Saturday and you get to enjoy Saturday and Sunday.
48 hours of pleasure every weekend.
Those of us who are graduates of the University of Florida at Gainesville don't necessarily have that same joy, but we sure have that joy on Sunday.
And it really is an opportunity to almost put this division out of reach, I think, because I do think Cincinnati is going to beat Houston. And so that makes Houston 4-5. So if the Jaguars win, you're at 7-2. I mean, I know you still have to go there, but to be 3 games up on them,
right?
That's awfully difficult for Houston to come back from, because they not only would have to beat the Jaguars, they would then have to gain 2 other games on them, and you're just running out of real estate in terms of that. I just don't see the Jaguars having the kind, assuming Trevor Lawrence is healthy and doesn't get hurt, the Jaguars aren't going to collapse like the Titans did last year. They're just not. They're 2 totally different constructed teams, and the Jaguars have way more talent than last year's Tennessee team did. So if the Jaguars can beat the 49ers and Cincinnati takes care of the Texans, again, I almost think it's over. I mean, to me, it would be very close to being over in terms of the race. I know mathematically it wouldn't be, but from a realistic standpoint, I think it would be very hard to find Houston's path to the division title.
Yeah, I agree with that. So again, I stay away from the math early in the year. I even stay away from the math midpoint, but I'm starting to look at the math now. I mean, we're to the point now that at some point you do start looking at magic numbers. At some point you do start saying, okay, well, he beats him and they beat them, so we'll see. Jags at 49ers. We'll talk more about it later in the show, and certainly during tomorrow's show, throughout the course of the show as well. When we come back, though, Greg McGarity joins us. The Gator Bowl College Football Report is next on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show, live from the Hastings Injury Law Firm Studios on 1010XL. Hit back with Hastings.
He's a defender of the faith.
Here it comes, and he gets a strip sack again.
Superior Fence and Rail highlights the defensive player of the game.
Ball is loose.
On 1010XL, Superior Fence and Rail, where quality matters.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty be hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Are you tired of having a plain and boring backyard? Really want to impress your family and friends this year? Then stop by Stone Core on Phillips Highway. Imagine hosting guests at your new outdoor kitchen, relaxing by your custom-built fireplace under a brand new pergola. Stone Core can also remodel your old pool deck and beautiful new pavers. Make your backyard wishes a reality. Visit Stone Core on Phillips Highway and let's get started at stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
I'm Hacker. Get more Gators on the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Wednesday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL Florida Gator Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or TuneIn.
Did you know that all graduates of Local 234's apprenticeship program are licensed journeymen? That means all plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, and HVAC techs will have hundreds of hours of experience and have passed the Jacksonville City Licensed Journeyman exam. They're the best trained and safest skilled tradespeople in the industry. Don't leave yourself exposed to inadequate workmanship or even danger. Always hire a licensed journeyman. Local 234. Make the right connection. Equal opportunity employer.
The year is almost over. Do you need cash for the holidays or want to be credit card debt-free for the new year? Call Loan Pronto today. Their Express Equity line of credit can get you $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 in as little as 5 days. Listen, if you have a ton of equity in your house and Loan Pronto can help you turn that equity into cash, you can access up to 95% of your home's value. Use the money to pay off all your credit cards, pay off personal loans, or start that home improvement project. You can get the money you need now and still keep your primary mortgage intact. So your 3% rate, it's protected. And with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line program, 90% of the time, there's no need for an appraisal. So you can get your money super fast. Get the holiday cash you need or pay off all those credit cards before the new year. Get yourself on solid financial footing before the year ends and call Loan Pronto now. 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Equal Housing Lender, NLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Pastor Joby Martin here with the Church of 1122. We are honored once again to partner with the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida for the Great Futures Weekend, which includes golf and McKenzie's 5K run at the esteemed TPC Stadium course. Help us continue to honor Mackenzie Wilson's legacy. That's Friday and Saturday, November 17th and 18th. You can golf or you can run. It'll be a great time. Additional info at MackenzieRun.org. Proceeds go to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida.
Life's not complete without music. Friday, November 10th, 8 p.m. at Players Grill Mandarin, Julia Gulia takes the stage with unforgettable performances from the 90s, 2000s, and originals. It's not your average cover band. Players Grill Mandarin, where the neighborhood meets.
W's and L's are what it's all about in football season, and you know you want to be a winner. Well, don't forget about calling Florida Home AC at 777-4300 before all your friends come over and that AC or heating unit conks out. You'll have that L on your forehead, and that sticks. Make sure your AC can handle the heat and invite the gang over for a win. Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, with prompt and quick service to make sure you stay cool in the heat and warm in the winter.
This is Dr. Steve Crenshaw, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
The Jaguars acquired offensive lineman Ezra Cleveland from the Minnesota Vikings at the NFL trade deadline last week. Cleveland met the media in the locker room on Wednesday and gave his reaction to the trade.
It was definitely a surprise. My agent called me a little bit before it happened, and I had no idea.
Cleveland on what it's like to join a Jaguars team that is squarely in contention.
Everyone here is in a really good mood, and everyone's been really nice. I can't tell if that's from, being 6-2 or, I'm sure it's because of sunny weather. You know, I haven't been in a place with a bunch of sunny weather, but no, everyone's been really nice, and it's exciting to come into a contender, and hopefully I can help them out.
New Jaguars offensive lineman Ezra Cleveland. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
The College Football Report is presented each week by the Gator Bowl with Executive Director Greg McGarity. Here's Greg with the Frangie Show crew.
Frank Frangie, Hayes Carlyon, R.J. Saunders. This is my favorite Led Zeppelin song, by the way.
This is really good.
Fool in the Rain. Fool in the Rain. From the Into the Outdoor album, my favorite one. You like Led Zeppelin?
Absolutely. I was a teenager when they hit that.
Yeah,
I think I was 18 years old or something like that.
How about this? 51 years ago today, they released Stairway to Heaven. How about that?
Yeah, I'd been 18 years old.
So there you
close.
go. There you go. How are you? Good to see you.
Great. Doing well.
I want to apologize. I'm a proud graduate, Greg, of the University of Florida at Gainesville. And I'm relatively certain that my university will not be in your game. And since I'm calling your game, I was really hoping that it would. So I want to apologize for all of Gator Nation. I don't think you're going to have us this year. That's my prediction.
I was really hoping that would happen, but I think the Arkansas loss kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think of the stuff that's going on in Florida? What alarms you? What doesn't? What you from like all of us from the outside looking in?
Oh gosh, not being on the inside, it's hard to.
Same here.
Hard to judge, but there are some concerns out there that everybody picks up on and everything, and so. I think they've got to square some things away, especially special teams.
Yeah.
And
you think he's a good coach? Because I want him to be a good coach, and it may be too early to ask, but
it's too early. I mean, you've got to give someone a chance to recruit, get their own guys there.
You're right.
Things like that. So I think it's way too early to pull a trigger on that.
Yeah. And I don't mean that. It's way too early to fire the guy. I think we all agree with that. Yeah. I just wonder if here's what I think, and I told Hayes this earlier, Greg. I'm not convinced he's not a good coach, but for the first time, I'm not certain that he is. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I'm not. There's some guys I don't. Now listen, everybody said the same thing about Mike Norvell 2 years in. Yeah. Weren't sure he was a good coach, but it turns out he's a very good coach. Yeah. So you never know.
Well, yeah, and I've subscribed to that formula. For instance, in our basketball hire at Georgia with Tom Crean, I'd seen what he had done at Indiana.
Right.
That third year came and the fourth year came, and we weren't close to what he had done in Indiana. So you can draw parallels.
Good point.
All the time, good and bad, and it just depends on the dynamics. It depends on a lot of measurables there, but certainly it's way too early to make any decisions.
The only, I guess, optimistic thing I could say about it is, I guess at this time last year, no one thought South Carolina was going to rally, and they did. If Florida were to win 2 of the final 3, then they'd be right back in your good graces, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't see any quit in the team. I mean, they came up short in some areas, but I don't attribute any of those to, just tossing in the towel. So a lot's going to depend on how they react to this adversity. 2 losses in a row, going into a tough environment at LSU, tough environment at Missouri, and then who knows what can happen the last game. You throw all the records out the window and just see where things go in that last week.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Gator Bowl. Clemson maybe played their way into it a little. What affected the Gator Bowl last week?
Well, I think Notre Dame losing really helped because it took Notre Dame out of the New Year's Day 6.
Oh,
so
right.
Since we couldn't take Notre Dame, somebody else needs to take them instead of a New Year's Day 6 game. But the Clemson Tech game this weekend, they both have 5 wins.
Okay.
The mountain that Clemson has to, even if they run the table, they've got head-to-head losses against NC State and Duke.
Yeah.
They still have to play North Carolina. So if they lose those 3 games, or if Duke and NC State continue to win, the head-to-head matchups don't help Clemson. So they've dug themselves a hole, but needless to say, that win was huge for them. I think the Duke-North Carolina game this weekend is really important. And while the FSU game, FSU standpoint doesn't affect us, it affects Miami.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes. And don't sleep on Boston College.
Yeah,
6-3.
All of a sudden, yeah.
And they should win their last 3 games after starting. I think they started
Wow.
1-3.
You know, and that's a great point. And there was a you saw a test of it or a smidge of it when they played well against FSU down the stretch. I thought it was just a fluke. Turns out that happened because they're pretty good.
They got a good quarterback.
Yeah, they do.
They run the ball well.
Yeah.
Would you guess though that you're probably picking from Louisville, North Carolina, and
Yeah, you've got Louisville
and maybe maybe Miami?
Yeah, well, Louisville probably, if things play out, the ACC has to send a team to the Orange Bowl. So if Florida State plays up, then somebody from the ACC has to represent.
Right. If Florida State gets in the playoff, and I think they're going to,
right,
then the next one up's got to go to the Orange Bowl.
Correct. And let's just say that's Louisville if they get to the conference championship, and then I think you've got North Carolina with 7 wins. And then you have teams Duke, Boston College, NC State, Miami with 6 wins, and then Tech and Clemson with 5 wins.
Right.
So it's going to come from that group, and obviously the top 4 in that group would feed into our game, one team or another, with the exception of Notre Dame.
It would seem to me, logic would tell me that, and maybe a bowl director can't say this, but maybe you can, of all those teams after FSU and Louisville, let's assume Louisville's in the Orange Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The most attractive to any of them, any bowl would be Clemson, even though Clemson has fewer wins than Duke, NC State.
I agree.
I agree. They're the most attractive.
I agree.
Right?
From a national scale.
So where else? Who are you competing with? What are the bowls?
Well, you've got the ReliaQuest.
Okay.
If Big Ten's in the Orange Bowl against the ACC, then the old Outback Bowl would get a pick from the ACC. So I think everybody thinks they can't pass on Notre Dame.
Right. Yeah, Notre Dame's Notre Dame.
And so then we'd be in the mix, along with San Diego and the Pop-Tarts Bowl for the remaining 3 spots.
Okay.
So it all depends who's in that group.
And the teams have some say in that too. And nobody wants to go to San Diego.
The teams with more wins, and North Carolina can't go to San Diego.
Yeah, right.
They were there last year.
Okay.
So you've got, Clemson was in Orlando 2 years ago.
Okay.
So there's some stipulations in the ACC contract.
So you really could wind up at I keep forgetting about North Carolina. You could wind up with the first overall pick. I mean, conceivably, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's going second to Caleb, but you don't know that, right? I mean, it's possible.
Right.
It's possible he's not. So
absolutely.
In terms of the SEC, if Georgia and Alabama both make the playoff, does the Sugar Bowl also get an SEC team?
No, because the Sugar Bowl's a semifinal. So the Big 12 and the SEC have lost their spots, so they fill into at-large spots. So theoretically, if Georgia continues to win and Georgia beat Alabama, and there's a lot of assumptions there, then Alabama could feed into the Orange Bowl and knock a Big 10 out.
Oh, I see.
So there's no alignment there because the 2 semifinal games had conference tie-ins, the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl.
Okay.
So they have to go somewhere, but it all gets into the rankings.
Right.
You really look at the top 12, and you just feed people in because Alabama's not going to jump Texas. Ole Miss is not going to jump Alabama. Right. So you've got, and it'd be hard for Washington to fall behind Oregon because of the head-to-head.
Yeah, assuming all those teams win.
Correct.
Assuming the wins continue. So what SEC teams are most prominently in play for you now?
Well, I think either the Ole Miss or Missouri, maybe whoever is not higher ranked in that.
So Ole Miss and Missouri are both in play.
You've got Tennessee, Kentucky, LSU, Auburn. A&M would probably feed to maybe Houston.
Has Auburn won enough games? I don't even know what their record.
They've got to win one more.
They're 5-4.
They got to win one more, but
you need them to 7, wouldn't you?
Yeah, or 6 because the SEC may have 5 teams that are not bowl eligible. Then they wouldn't really be able to fill. I mean, the Liberty Bowl may go without an SEC team if enough teams don't qualify in the SEC. Auburn may not win this week, but I think they play New Mexico State the following week.
They're going to get to 6.
They'll get to 6.
Yeah.
So
because Auburn, you'd feel better with a 7 or 8 win Auburn, but Auburn would be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
Auburn's still a brand now.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a new coach coming. I think anybody coming in with a new coach, they're going to be excited about it. But
good brand, good feel to them.
And a lot of them hadn't been here in a long. I mean, LSU, Missouri, gosh, it's been forever since they've been here.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit with something off topic, but your expertise as an athletic director, and do you have a feel on the Michigan sign stealing thing in terms of what the NCAA, Big Ten should not do?
Yeah, I think if there's just black and white evidence that they had a person on the site of other institutions, which is a violation of NCAA rules, it's a big time for Tony Petitti, who's now the commissioner.
Big time.
I've known Tony since he worked back with CBS and was an executive there. And this is his first true moment in time, because a lot of the other teams in the Big Ten are wondering what's going to happen for blatant cheating. I mean, there are other ways that you can do this legally.
Right.
Sign stealing, you can go off film, you can go off tape of a game, but you cannot go off campus to recruit, which obviously, and how he ever ended on the sidelines, on Jim McElwain's sideline, I don't know, but that would be easy to trace back to see how he got a sideline credential and all the gear.
Yeah, by now they figured that out.
Yeah,
they're not announcing it to everybody. By now they have to know.
I would think, yeah, you can easily track that.
So to Hayes' question, would it be appropriate to suspend him now in season?
I think so.
Okay.
Because, and they shouldn't penalize the players.
Okay.
They're
So suspend the coach.
Whoever created this, and
Yeah.
whoever the reporting line was to this,
Correct.
and whoever knew about it by interviewing them, knowing that if they lied about it, they could lose their job. And, this is where honesty has to come to the top, because if you want to run an honest program, then you have to admit your mistakes.
So the reality here is, what you think, and I hear you, is that it wouldn't be the worst thing that Harbaugh gets suspended for the rest of the year.
I just don't know how deep they could go.
Yeah.
Whether it's a game or whether it's a financial penalty.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if I'm a school that has been hurtful in that, I want something. I want some skins some way.
Well, and they do,
instead of just a slap on the wrist.
And they do.
Yes.
Let me ask you this: you've got all your AD buddies and coach. You know a lot of people in the business. Is that a buzz off the record? I say off the record. When you guys all talk, y'all talking about that? We all talk about it because it's our business.
In the conference room, it would be. I mean,
Yeah.
if this happened in the SEC and you've got a group of your 13 other peers in there, and you've got Greg Sankey in there, and you've got William King from compliance, you're going to want to know what's at stake here. And sometimes I know Michigan will say due process. I'm not so sure once there's evidence as clear as it seems to be, it's a tough mountain to climb.
Wow.
Yeah. I think Ole Miss, North Carolina would be a really exciting game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the board now, and there are really no misfits.
Yeah.
So I think we're in store for a really a game that's going to have two brands. That'll be a highly respectable game, and I think we're setting up pretty good right now.
It'll be fun to see. All right, and it's tonight. I get to come hang out with your group, right?
Absolutely. It's our last really full committee meeting of the year.
Yeah.
They're anxious to hear your take on the Gators and the Seminoles because they may be our group may be 50-50, and you have a few other teams sprinkled in there. But they'll look forward to hearing from the fountain of knowledge.
Yeah. Well, my alma mater, the University of Florida at Gainesville. We're having an outstanding year, so I can't wait to talk about it. Greg, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.
Look forward to seeing the Gator Bowl folks tonight. We'll take a break. When we come back, Rick Ballou talks FSU Miami. Stay with us.
The Frangie Show, live from the Hastings Injury Law Firm Studios on 1010XL. Hit back with Hastings.
A weekend full of football starts Friday at 3.
Woo! Coming after you!
High school, college, Jaguars, and NFL.
Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Rehabilitation Football Friday night.
And that's football! On 1010XL.
What? They did not tell me they were going to do that. I need a new bank.
Well, actually, One-to-One Financial doesn't do the usual bank surprises because we're not a bank. We're a credit union. And that means lower loan interest, things like free checking and member rewards, and of course, total investment back into our community.
I'm sold.
Find a better way to bank than big banks with One-to-One Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union. Visit 121fcu.org for more information on opening an account today.
Federally insured by NCUA.
Hey, hon, the sink isn't draining well. Kind of makes it sound like this.
What's that sound again? Sounds like hair down the drain.
Mine?
Well, I'm no pro. We should call Duck Duck Rooter and make the sound for them.
Duck Duck Rooter. However you describe your plumbing problem, we have your solution. Duck Duck Rooter.
proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
904-862-6769.
Atlantic Self Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving, they can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
When it comes to commercial fence services, Superior Fence and Rail has you covered. If your business needs automatic gates or security fence and railings, trust Superior with your next commercial project. Superior's team delivers great communication, high-quality products, and exceptional customer service. Just read any of their 2,300-plus reviews.
When you're on the fence about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Hey, it's Mike Dempsey, and you know how I feel about Pella Windows and Doors. Great design, strongest warranties, and the highest quality products. I even chose Pella Windows for my own home. And whether you're a homeowner replacing windows or building a new home or a trade professional working with clients, I know the design experts at Pella will help your project run smoothly and look great. Visit PellaJacks.com or the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
Visionaries, builders, and doers. Are you ready to change the world? Miller Electric is your opportunity to shape the future. Miller Electric is leading the charge in electric vehicle technology with our state-of-the-art EV Innovation Design Center. We're working to create a sustainable future. We're also the proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, powering their performance at the brand-new Miller Electric Center. Miller Electric, we provide competitive pay, unbeatable benefits. Apply today. MillerCareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
You know, real estate research right now says housing prices are still rising slowly and inventory is still below historical averages. That means if you think your home right now is unsellable or there's a host of problems, then you haven't met Chad and Sandy, who will make sure those problems become promises. Chad and Sandy are the only real estate experts we trust and recommend with the sale of your home. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts. Derek and Ashley out in St. John's Harbor said we were building a new home, but we had a big problem. 2 months on the market, and we had no showings and no offers with another agent. We were super stressed. Then we heard Chad and Sandy guarantee sale on the radio and hired them. They created an amazing plan to sell quickly and maximize price. The home sold in 10 days for more money than the previous realtor had listed. That's the promise and the proof of ChadandSandy.com. Go there today, ChadandSandy.com, or call them in office, 904-414-6200.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here. Hurricane season is upon us. That's why I always recommend Patriot Roofing Services, specializing in all types of commercial, residential roofing and repairs, gutters, sun tubes, skylights, 10-year workmanship warranty, financing is available, military and senior citizen discounts, no subcontractors. Give my buddy Mark a call, 982-4052, licensed and insured, or go to Patriot Roofing Services online.
Be here and be loud as the Jaguars take on the Tennessee Titans Sunday, November 19th. Be at the bank for this divisional rivalry when Trevor Lawrence leads the team in an exciting matchup. Plus, join us as we celebrate Salute to Service and honor our military all game day long. Seats may be sold out, but a limited number of standing room only tickets are still available, so don't miss your chance to be there. Visit jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000 now.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm Andrew Gibson for 1010XL. This update brought to you by YMCA of Florida's First Coast. 6 Jacksonville area high school football teams will be on the road for round 1 of the playoffs tomorrow night. The Palatka Panthers go to Gainesville Eastside, kickoff tomorrow night at 7. The First Coast Buccaneers go to Orlando Edgewater tomorrow night at 7. The Ed White Commanders travel to Bishop Moore tomorrow night with kickoff at 7:30. The Fletcher Senators go to Tampa Bay Tech tomorrow night at 7:30. The Mandarin Mustangs play at Winter Park tomorrow night at 7:30. And the Bartram Trail Bears play at Navarre tomorrow night at 8:30. 82 degrees at 3 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
It's an old rock Thursday. Music the way it should be, or at least used to be, on the Frangie Show.
Frangie, Carlion, Saunders, Ballou joins us. Ballou, a little band called Led Zeppelin. You've heard of them, I think, haven't you, Rick?
Yes, indeed. The greatest rock and roll band of all time.
Great rock and roll band. Hey, I was talking about after we had you on the other day, after we talked to you the other day, a game that I remember. The, was it 2000 when maybe Bethia missed left?
That sounds right.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I took that red eye from Chicago. That was a noon start.
Okay, noon. So it's 26-14, and Florida State doesn't go for 2, right? Doesn't go for 2, kicks the extra point. Miami scores 2 touchdowns, and they win after the missed field goal. Rick, that game was 7,000 degrees in Miami. Do you remember how hot that game was in Miami?
Oh, absolutely, I do. Yeah, because those are the. I think that was year 1 of the 7 years I was in Chicago, and I'd be done at 1 a.m. Chicago time, 2 o'clock Jacksonville time, and I would take that red eye out of here at 6 a.m.
Right.
And, there were times I would miss the first quarter, unfortunately, in Tallahassee because it was connecting play. But obviously to Miami, it was a straight shot.
Right.
And I was there in time. But, yeah, that was I don't remember if that was the year that Greg Jones ran for like 185 yards. That might have been a few years later. They kind of run together. But the Greg Jones year there was that streak of more than 20 consecutive years that whatever team rushed the ball for the most yards won that game. That was the one statistic that you could look at, and whoever ran for more won it, and it was broken that year with Greg Jones.
All right, I've asked you the other day what stands out the most. You talked about the first one, a loss. Give me of all the wins, the Florida State big wins over Miami, the ones they've beaten them. I was at 93. I was at that game. And FSU beat them 28-10, but Miami was pretty good that year. Give me a win over the Canes that stands out the most to you.
Well, yeah, that'd be the obvious one because they went on to win Bobby's first national title. But I'll go to 89.
Okay.
That was a really interesting year because I've always maintained I thought at the end of the season that might have been Florida State's best team. They lost here on opening day, another scorcher to Lord Favre and Southern Miss. And then Terry Allen and Clemson went in there and beat them at night. And if you remember during that era, no one beat Florida State in Doak Campbell, not named Miami. Right. No one won. Right. And Terry Allen and Clemson went in there and won. But after that, Florida State just went on a tear. And in consecutive weeks, they beat Auburn at home. Then they beat Miami at night. Leroy Butler had a huge pick. Dexter Carter took that early touchdown around the end. It was the old stadium that held about 62,000, but that was just electrifying. That was one of the the greatest moments that I remember as a student at FSU, probably in the 85th row or something like that. But it was a fun time.
I think that was a game, Hayes, that Rick's talking about. That my friend Gino Torretta was 26-2 at Miami. He lost his first start and his last start, and he won 26 in a row, including the Heisman Trophy and the national championship. That was the first start.
Wow.
Torretta started that first. He was a freshman.
I think that's right because Leon was talking about that earlier in the week that he threw like 2 or 3 picks.
He threw a bunch of picks that game.
Yeah.
Won 26 in a row and then lost to Alabama.
How about that? Wow. Rick, how do you see this one? What concerns you? What do you think Florida State can most take advantage of?
Well, listen, Florida State's they're a better team, but Miami's got NFL players all over that roster. And, the blueprint for Miami is pretty simple. It's called don't turn the football over. And, Tyler Van Dyke, man, he's thrown 10 interceptions in the month of October. He's just looked lost. Miami is really good when it comes to running the football. They got 3 backs. They latched on the freshman last week, Mark Fletcher, who reminds me a little bit of like a Stephen McGuire type. He's a big 6'2", 225, 230 pounds. Miami runs it for almost 177 yards a game. If they can run against Florida State, not turn the ball over, and then make a big play or two defensively, they have a puncher's chance. This Miami team's got a really formidable defensive line. They're more physical than they've been in years. Leonard Taylor's going to be a first-round pick. Ruben Bain Jr. is, he's been a 3-time All-ACC lineman as a true freshman as Bain. And Cam Kitchens is maybe the best safety in all of college football. So Miami's going to have to make big plays, and Miami cannot afford to make any mistakes in this game if they're going to be able to pull off the upset.
I think that's all. Everything you said is true. And the things you pointed out about Miami being pretty good are true, Rick, and nobody follows all that stuff closer than you do. And I don't have it doesn't matter to me. I don't care who wins, so I have no vested interest. I think the Noles are going to boat race Miami. I mean, it was 45-3 last year. Now it's in Tallahassee. I think Florida State's even better this year. I know Miami might be better too, but I think this one's 38-13. Have I lost my mind, do you think?
No, I think it has a chance to get really ugly late if Florida State punches them in the mouth a couple of times. And, that crowd, it's a 3:30 start. But come the second half, it's going to begin to get dark now that we've gone through the clock change. And, the momentum and the crowd, Florida State's a better team. There's no question. They are a better team. And they're also a very good second-half defensive team outside of the Boston College game.
Right.
I mean, they've been outstanding in the second half on defense. That old Bowden quote at halftime, hey, if they don't score, we win.
Right.
Florida State's kind of adopted that they don't allow their opponent to score much whatsoever in the second half. And, I'm talking about big plays. Florida State defensively, they've only allowed 4 passing touchdowns all season long. So they like what they have in their contain. Florida State's going to have to make some mistakes. It's going to, it'd have to be, can Miami knock out Jordan Travis? I hated that Norvell, he made a massive mistake, in my opinion. He left him in way too late against Pittsburgh. And, the final offensive play for Travis, he takes a huge shot on the sideline, comes up limping. There's video of him limping into practice on Tuesday. Now, I don't know if that's gamemanship by Jordan Travis or what, but, fans are like, get him out of there, get him out of there. It's not about coaches. Coaches always know best, and they're going to play. I mean, Pittsburgh couldn't score on Mandarin, yet you got him in there 24-7 late in the fourth quarter. I can't figure it out. So that's going to be part of the plan here for Miami is try to knock Jordan Travis out. He's yet to prove that he can go a full season, without an injury.
How effective do you think Trey Benson can be running the ball?
He needs more carries. He's just averaging over 10, and he's not breaking tackles the way that he did a year ago. Florida State's really, really, really bad in 3rd and short and 4th and short, and I think it could end up costing him down the line here, if they get to an ACC championship game, which we know they're in, or if they advance further. That's their biggest problem. They They can't line up their offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, give the ball to Trey Benson and say, pick up a first down on 3rd and 1, pick up a first down on 4th and 1. They try gimmicks, they try counters, they throw screens. They're not a power team. Trey Benson's better with more. You got to keep feeding him the football. We've seen 3 times in the last 4 games he's broken long ones after averaging less than 3 yards a carry. One of those was a reception a couple of weeks ago, but he has got to get the football more because he's got incredible home run ability. And, you know, Mike Norvell this year, if you look at the rushing chart, he's really used 3 backs, at times even 4 backs. So that'll be interesting. I think this game against Miami, that is the good rush defense. I would let, you know, perfect plan for me is Benson getting this ball at least 16, 17 times.
I'll say this, and listen, by the way, if Jordan Travis gets hurt, that changes everything. I mean, all bets are off, all predictions are off. That's obvious. I know that. But assuming that doesn't happen, see, I think this, Rick, and I don't watch them as close as you do, but I've watched just about every play of every FSU game, all right? I think their biggest thing is every now and then they're asleep at the wheel. You know what I mean? In the first half, they'll be beating somebody 10-7 with 4 minutes left in the half, all right? And then you'll blink and they're up 31-7. And I just think, and so I think, well, they're not going to be asleep at the wheel again. This is freaking Miami, you know.
Yeah.
So that asleep at the wheel that we see for Florida State at periods in the first quarter, middle of the second quarter, I don't think we're going to see this week. You get my point on that? I think you're going to see them at their best for the minute that thing starts.
Well, you know, it's a fair point. There should be no motivation necessary. They should be ready to go. And you know, before the rankings came out, I was kind of like, boy, I'd like to see Florida State go from 4th to 5th this week and have UW go 5 to 4, because if they needed any extra motivation, it would have been dropping them in the rankings and dropping them out of the college football playoff. I think we know that if Florida State runs the table, they're going to get in. But I would have loved it just before this game. But, yeah, I mean, if you can't get up for this one, they got a ton of former alumni there that are supporting them. You know, the only case that you can make for Miami is the pressure is on Florida State. The whole world is picking Florida State. I'm not aware of one human being who has picked Miami, and Miami already is bowl eligible. They've won 6 games. No one thinks they can win, so I think they can afford to really take some chances here, some 4th down chances, you know, some gimmick plays. Do they try a fake punt? I wouldn't be surprised at all if Miami has a couple of things up their sleeve. And they're not only are they going to try them, they're going to have to complete them. They're going to have to make those type of plays if they're going to pull off this upset.
Rick, how would you assess Florida State's special teams?
I think they're one of the best in the country. I mean, their punter has been absolutely phenomenal. If you look at coffin kicks, you look at inside the 20, you look at their ability to not allow teams to return punts. Fitzgerald has had a remarkable season after really struggling 2 years ago, getting slightly better last year. Punt return is a concern with Keon Coleman, who we did see returning punts Tuesday. There was a video of that. I don't know if you want to put him back there after his injury. Douglas was a little bit sketch. He let one get away. I think right now, if you can just get a fair catch out of your punt return team, that's good enough. And obviously the kick return, Deuce Spann took one back. He was injured last week as well. He did not play in that game against Pittsburgh. But no, this Florida State special teams group is one of the better groups I've seen in a lot of years. And what else is fascinating is, as a Florida State fan, forever I have been prone to watch a punt return and not even know where the ball goes with the runner, because I'm convinced that a referee is going to throw a flag for a 15-yard personal foul blocking the back. That hasn't been happening this year much at Florida State. So it's really been a very good special teams year for them.
Florida State, Miami, it's going to be fun to watch. Rick will talk more about this, obviously, on his shows at night. But, again, I'd be surprised if the game's close, but I've been surprised before. Rick Ballou checking in, talking Seminole football. Thank you, Rick.
All right, guys. By the way, on my way to the Jaguars locker room tonight, 6 to 8. I'll be at the Brew and Barrel on Beach Boulevard, a Miller Lite party.
Oh,
I got 2 tickets for the Jaguars 49ers. The Miller Lite girls will be there, And Tim Brando right out of the gate at 6:20, so we're going to have a whole heck of a lot of fun.
And that's a hard ticket this time. I'm not kidding. That's a hard ticket. I know people have been turned away, so go good and win some tickets from Rick. Rick, thanks, buddy. Sounds good.
See you guys.
Let's take a break. Let's come back to the Woolsey-Morecambe College Football Report is next. Mike Golick Jr. joins us, so stay with us.
The Frangie Show, live from the Hastings Injury Law Firm Studios on 1010XL. Hit back with Hastings.
1010XL brings you the orange and blue.
He's in! Touchdown Gators!
Who has the bigger bite? It's a duel in Death Valley, Florida, LSU. Kickoff at 7:30 on Jacksonville's home of Florida Gators football. 1010XL.
Friday is the Marine Corps birthday and the day before Veterans Day, and we'll be honoring veterans from 3 to 7 at String Sports Brewery with a free barbecue sandwich, side, and a beer for all veterans. Thanks to our friends at Northeast Florida Firewatch Council, which was created to address veteran suicide prevention in Northeast Florida, and the Cohen Clinic at Centerstone that offers outpatient mental health for post-9/11 veterans and military families. So come out this Friday to Strings from 3 to 7 to support veterans and military families in our community.
In America, we enjoy freedom thanks to our veterans who answered the call to defend our nation. Congressman Aaron Bean here, and I'm honored to represent more than 70,000 veterans in our nation's capital. As the son of a World War II veteran, I understand that veteran benefits are not entitlements, they're earned. Our team is ready to assist you. If you need help with the VA, call my office, 904-557-9550. I'm Congressman Aaron Bean, and serving you is what we do. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Nimnick Chevrolet is Northeast Florida's Silverado truck headquarters. Frank Frangie here. With new shipments arriving daily, Nimnick Chevrolet has the best selection of Silverado trucks on the ground in town. Nimnick Chevrolet is conveniently located on the corner of Park and Cassett Avenue or online at nimnickchevy.com. Nimnick Chevrolet is family-owned and operated. No one cares more about their customers before and after the sale. That's Nimnick, your friends in the car business since 1941. Chevy. Find new roads.
Get wet with Captain Kevin. Whoa! And remember to bring your net on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
Oh, that's a beauty!
Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Look at him!
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. There's a reason so many of my friends and our listeners have had Stanley Pools build their pools and now maintain their pools because Stanley Pools truly cares about their customers. Stanley Pools is locally owned and has been serving our community for 35 years. For all of your pool needs, call Stanley Pools at 269-7277. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools. 269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com.
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles Update. Topps Archives baseball hit shelves, and again it highlights card designs from past Topps years, including 1956 and 1965. Look for rookies Corbin Carroll and Adley Rushman in Archives baseball. Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. Update your collection.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Hootie fans, get ready. Hootie and the Blowfish, Summer Camp with Trucks Tour 2024. Friday, September 27th, 5-Star Veterans Memorial Arena. Hootie and the Blowfish, together again. With special guests, Collective Soul and Edwin McCain. On sale Friday, 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. The night of all the hits with Hootie and the Blowfish.
It's a fact. Cold weather kills car batteries. Make sure your battery is strong enough to withstand another winter. Have it tested for free at Batteries Plus. Need a replacement? We have plenty of options available from the industry's top brands. Plus, free battery installation in most vehicle makes and models. Or upgrade to Premier installation for added protection. You'll also find jump starters, windshield wiper blades, and other winter auto essentials at your nearest location. Or online at batteriesplus.com.
You've got a circle of friends, right? Well, how about a circle of beer? All your favorites like Bud Light, Bud Heavy, Mick Ultra, or Natty Light. It's all there in the cold case at Circle K. Probably one right around the corner right now calling your name. Slide on in to a Circle K.
Okay, listen up, team. They're out to test our reputation as the best plumber in Jax, so we gotta play like the experts we are. When customers call with leaky faucets, broken water heaters, toilet repairs, broken pipes, or any other challenge, we'll give them the solution fast. Now, who are we?
Roland Reese Plumbing!
I can't hear you.
Roland Reese Plumbing!
Now that's what a winner sounds like. Customers always win with Roland Reese Plumbing at plumberinjax.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
It's the National College Football Report, brought to you by the law firm of Woolsey Morecambe on The Frangie Show.
Welcome back to the program. Frangie, Hayes Carla, and it is the Woolsey Morecambe National College Football Report. Mike Golick Jr. kind enough to join us for the second time on the program. Mike, thanks for joining us, man. How are you?
Doing well. Appreciate you guys having me back. How you doing?
We are doing fantastic. All right, there's all kind of stuff going on in the world of college football, but I think it's become federal law. If we don't start with the Michigan stuff, we can't talk about anything else. Mike, what's going to happen? What's in your opinion, what should and will happen with Jim Harbaugh, with Michigan, anything this year? How do you see that whole thing?
I think ultimately what we've seen is the Big Ten's probably going to try and throw some kind of suspension in here. Tony Petitti is feeling the heat from a lot of the rest of their constituency, the new first-year Big Ten commissioner, which, welcome to the show, brother. Hope you're enjoying your stay so far. But I think he's trying to serve a lot of masters at the same time. So he's going to pull the trigger on that. And Michigan's latest statement basically makes it clear, we're going to sue for a temporary injunction, for a temporary restraining order, whatever legal mumbo-jumbo. The billable hours have started. But what it's going to mean is Jim Harbaugh's likely not going to miss any time this year because of that, especially down this home stretch and a pivotal stretch that starts this weekend. And then I think after that, Michigan's kind of willing to wash their hands of it, as I think the Big Ten will be. This is a national championship caliber team. If they go out there and complete the task this year, then what are we talking about? The potential for the NCAA to come in and do what they did in the college basketball probe, which was decidedly nothing to most teams involved. Kansas got to fire off the money cannon. Bill Self and company won another national title in their face, and they kept it moving. So I think this is going to be much ado about nothing because, as we've seen, yes, Michigan went too far and broke the rules, and some sort of punishment would be appropriate. We're not really sure what appropriate is because this is unprecedented in the middle of the season, but is it the worst thing we've ever seen? No, we've all seen enough of college football to know this rate's pretty low on the Richter scale of scandal.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Mike, it's Hayes Carline. Thanks again for joining us. How do you see the Michigan at Penn State game going? What do you think is going to decide that one?
So I'm a firm believer when people show you who they are, believe them. I would think in this game, one of the few chance Penn State has would be to push the ball down the field, something they haven't done all year long. They've been one of the worst teams in college football in terms of plays of 20-plus yards in the passing game. And Drew Aller, for all of the gifts that we know he had and the reason Penn State fans have been so excited to get to him and get rid of Sean Clifford, it hasn't materialized in them pushing the ball down the field. And we saw that on display in their first Big Test game of the year when they played Ohio State. So I think if this Michigan defense is allowed to tee off downhill like Ohio State was, they've got the horses to run on that side. Even though not playing anybody, they've been statistically one of the best defenses in college football all fall. And on the other side, Penn State's got a bunch of athletes. Sounds like Chop Robinson's going to be back up front too, which is great for them. He's an awesome player. But the Michigan meat slab of an offensive line is built to go specifically against a defense like this. We're on first and second down. They build the wall. Manny Diaz, the defensive coordinator, wants to throw pressures from all over the place. The easiest way to absorb that is with a big-bodied offensive line that loves to live in thick double teams, gap scheme runs, and get downhill. And so I just don't see anything that happened between last year and this year from the roster composition of Penn State or Michigan that leads me to believe that the result should be all that different. Maybe it won't be a full-on blowout, but I expect Michigan to win decidedly.
Mike Golick Jr. with us on the Woolsey Morecambe National College Football Report. Mike, who's the best team? Is it Georgia? Can you tell yet? Is it too early to tell between Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, FSU, Washington? Can you have an opinion on that yet?
You know what? I think right now I'd go Tigers to the runner. I've got to call 2 Georgia games this year for Learfield College football Saturday night, and they've gotten better as the year's gone along, and that's despite losing Brock Bowers now for a certain amount of time, although that tightrope surgery is apparently a miracle drug. We're hearing about him already running fast in practice and all this, so you never doubt the ability of Mute to get back out there sooner than later, but I think Carson Beck, their quarterback, coming in Stetson Bennett's stead this year, has proven he is up to the challenge right now. Ladd McConkey getting healthy when he did, coming back in the Auburn game, when really you look back at Georgia's evolution this season, the second half of the Auburn game really is when the offense started to catch fire. And since then, they've done really well. So I'd be comfortable putting them or Michigan at the one spot there. I think Ohio State, they have the best win so far of the season. But what I've seen, the defense, 2 years now under Jim Knowles, I think is really leaning into his identity. But offensively, outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't think they've been as consistently explosive as people have expected.
Mike, in terms of that Georgia team, can Ole Miss give them a 60-minute contest Saturday, or do you think the Bulldogs roll?
No, I think Ole Miss is ready for this. I think a lot of times with Lane Kiffin's outfit, we confuse them because they're so tempo and spread out and they want to move around so quickly around the field that they might not be built in the trenches the right way. I think Ole Miss's offensive line has been underrated for the last couple of years. And so it's going to be a great challenge against the Georgia defense that, much like Alabama and Nick Saban, that cloth that Kirby's cut from, they're built to stop offenses like this, where you can have 5 or 6 guys near the line of scrimmage to handle Judkins in this run game led by Jackson Dart, and then allocate resources on the perimeter, some of these great receiving options that Ole Miss has. So I do think Georgia ends up winning this game. They might even be able to pull away close to the number, but I think Ole Miss is going to make this really interesting for a long time in this game. You saw it on display last week. That's a darn good football team, but they're going up against a team that is still, despite not being the 2021 version of Georgia or even the 2022 version of Georgia, is still a damn good outfit in college football.
Mike Golick Jr. with us, talking college football, does a terrific job doing so. Florida State at home against Miami. The Noles are ranked 4th. Last year they boat raced them, Mike, 45-3 in Miami. I got a hunch it may happen again. I think the Noles are really good. How do you see this one?
Yeah, Florida State's been so interesting. I had them when they were playing against Duke, and that was a game that until Riley Leonard went down, Duke was kind of in control of. Yeah. But that's because Duke's model has been consistency, especially on both lines of scrimmage. I think what Mike Elko's done down there has been exemplary from a coaching standpoint. For Miami, it's been the total opposite. It's, hey, we saw, Tyler Van Dyke's back early in the season. They're pushing the ball downfield. Xavier Restrepo and this receiving core, the offensive line, it all looks good. And in the last few weeks, it's been turnovers. It's been a lack of consistency in those spots. I'm not really sure what to buy there. And I think when you've got a Florida State offense, it sounds like Johnny Wilson will be good to go out there, hopefully, is so explosive pushing it down the field with Keon Coleman and company. I think they have a chance to go out here because they're one of the teams right now, by the way, despite everything they've accomplished, despite that out-of-conference win against LSU, win over Duke, win over Clemson. People still look at them and I think have questions, especially as we get further in the season and see a team like Alabama start to pick up steam, the usual suspects. So I think Florida State's still got something to prove. They know Louisville's looking them down from behind in the ACC, potentially looming in that title game. I expect a good, consistent outing from them this weekend and a big win.
Mike, one game that I think is really close to call is this Tennessee at Missouri game. Any feel there for how that one might go?
So the thing that worries me most is what the Missouri offense looked like once Luther Burden got hurt in that game against Georgia. Great wide receiver. Came in 8 games into their season and was already over 900 yards receiving. It looked like one of the best receivers in the SEC through the early portion of the year. We're in November now, Mike. Get with it. But, the rest of the team, Brady Cook, phenomenal quarterback, great runner that I think really helps them out a lot. Cody Schrader in that backfield has been awesome for them. But I think the offense just loses a gear with Luther Burden not at full speed. And so I worry about that against the Tennessee defense that's really adept at stopping the run, an offense that's got a 3-headed monster in the backfield on the other side. And even if Joe Milton hasn't been what we all hoped from the beginning of the season, where we saw the arm talent, we saw the physical ability, and we saw, hey, maybe Anthony Richardson-like potential there, it's been a lot like Anthony's season was last year, where it's been a little bit more inconsistent in the result. I actually like Tennessee in this game. I think it's a really good opportunity for them. Maybe not as sexy as having it led by quarterback play, but defense and running has been good enough for Tennessee for a lot of this year.
You know, they play at home against Georgia next week. I like Tennessee this week too. That's, to me, other than the championship game against likely Alabama, that might be the toughest one for them. That's the one game, Mike, I'm not sure Georgia rolls. I'd pick Georgia to win in Knoxville next week. Let's assume they both win this week. I'm like you. I think they're both going to. That game could get sticky for the Dogs, couldn't it?
It absolutely could, because, again, the one thing we've seen as a common through line for the Saban dynasty now into the Kirby Smart dynasty that's beginning here is you kind of need, and we saw it with Brady Cook last week, a mobile quarterback, a guy who can move around against those kinds of defenses. And Joe Milton's got enough of that to his game. We saw, too, Georgia got run on. Like, Cody Schrader got a bunch of yards in just the designed handoff run game for Missouri this last week, running stretch zones. So there's ways to be had there. The thing I worry about is Georgia, if you only do one thing well, can be really good on keying in on that, going back again to the Luther Burden injury, and even going back to the other team we expected earlier. The first test for Georgia this season was the Kentucky Wildcats. And in that game, the biggest difference was Devin Leary was not able to make the plays when they were there. And with Joe Milton, I can't count on him consistently enough to make those plays. If he does and he explodes, then yeah, they could absolutely give them a game. But up until this point, that's not something I think we can rely on enough to say, yeah, I think they can go out and get a win against Georgia right now.
Mike, do you think LSU has any sort of mental letdown hangover from losing to Bama? Do they get a scare at all from Florida, or do they just roll the Gators?
I think this can be a competitive game because we've seen LSU's defense is unfortunately going to keep a lot of people in it right now. Florida's been able to run the football well at times this season. They've also been run on plenty this season, which is a nightmare to think about when Jaden Daniels has the ability to be as effective in that area as well. So I don't anticipate a hangover. Listen, I played for Brian Kelly. I understand the preparation and standard that he brings to an organization, and you couple that with all the talent that this LSU team has and what's still in front of them. Yeah, the loftier goals from the beginning of the season are now gone, but I still think you're going to see a team that comes out here and gives great effort this one.
My final thing here, and great work as always. Man, you know these teams backwards and forward. Very impressed. Final thing here. What surprises are waiting for us? Is there? I mean, all the undefeated teams are still undefeated teams, and there's not a lot of upsets at the top of these polls yet. Is there a surprise waiting for us, a surprise team that could falter, a surprise team that could jump up? Who should we watch in that regard?
So I think it's fun to always look down and see what's possible. Louisville sitting at number 11 is fascinating right now. One awful loss to Pitt on their schedule, but the big win against Notre Dame, they've looked good, and they've got a clear path right now. Like, you look to talk about even Ole Miss. They don't control their own destiny because the Alabama has the tiebreaker in the SEC West. So even if Ole Miss pulls it off this weekend, they would need help just getting to their own conference title game. To me, it's always about the Pac-12, and this weekend's no exception. We got Utah with a chance to spoil Washington's season potentially, or at least throw a wrench into it. Oregon's got to factor in with a USC team that feels like a huge wild card right now. What are we going to get? Lincoln Riley finally has to fire Alex Grinch on the defensive side of the ball after Washington was the latest team to put up 1 million yards against them. Caleb Williams in that offense, though, were able to go out and look effective. Oregon doesn't have the best pass defense statistically in college football this season, but what are we going to get out of Lincoln's squad at this point in the season? We saw it still matters to Caleb Williams. He was emotional after that loss. He put everything into that. Are they going to have any emotional hangover? Will there be some juice on the opposite side now that someone's lost their job because of what's gone on this season? It's amazing, guys, no matter what level of sports. You know, I get these aren't technically paid professionals yet. It's not like the NFL where it sends that signal down that, hey, anybody can get fired now once you see a coordinator go down. But it does ratchet up that intensity for everyone in the building of, all right, if you didn't know and understand it before now as an 18 to 22-year-old, there are people whose jobs and whose family's future are on the line each and every week, and that can do something to a team from a focus standpoint. Maybe that's what helps USC out this weekend.
Mike Golick Jr. talking college football from the Gojo and Golick podcast, and, of course, you'll hear him call games on Learfield. Mike, great work as always, man. We sure appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay, Mike Golick Jr. Boy, was that good. That's a guy that knows his college football, man. Very well done. That is the Woolsey Morecambe College Football Report. One segment to go. We'll talk some Florida LSU and a whole lot more after this.
The Frangie Show, live from the Hastings Injury Law Firm Studios on 1010XL. Hit back with Hastings.
Sometimes the most important position in sports needs a translator.
I'm Denny Thompson, and they call me the quarterback whisperer.
He shares his insights Friday mornings on The Drill. Brought to you by Tyson Sound and Security and George Moore Chevrolet.
Get into your comfort zone career at AC Designs. We're hiring certified HVAC technicians, call dispatchers, administrative clerks, warehouse associates, and more. Voted Jacksonville's best AC and heating company. We're the family-owned business you can call home. Join our Northeast Florida team with paid health benefits, 401k matching, competitive pay and training. Apply online at acdesignsinc.net/careers.
I had a question about my insurance the other day, so I called my new State Farm agent. And would you believe I talked to the same person who remembered my name? They said that was called service. And then they asked if my dog Max was over his cold. They called that service too. And then they helped me find ways to save on my home and auto coverage. I asked State Farm what they called that. They said service.
Call State Farm agent Carla Fenzel-Marchese, 743-7422.
Get this thing unwrapped here. Duval!
Praz, what in the world are you doing working on your Duval?
That's right, and I really identify with Duval.
You live in St. John's County, knucklehead.
I mean the Duval sub, the Dailies Dash Duval. Turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheeses. Lettuce, tomato, crispy and fresh, you know, like me. I'm sure there's a Dailies Dash sub that sums you up.
The boss.
Because, of course.
Oven roasted beef, Munster cheese, roasted mushrooms, caramelized onions. It's the boss of all subs. Only available for me.
That's just not true.
What do you mean? I walked in the other day, screamed, "You know it!" and said, "A boss for a boss."
Well, no matter who you are, there is a Dailies Dash sandwich or sub for you.
Go find yours. They may even make you a boss.
I'm sure they will, because it is Dailies Dash.
Where more is better.
And you got that right.
Whether it's a large commercial project or a multifamily property, trust All Pro Roofing for exceptional craftsmanship and unparalleled customer service. We use only the finest materials, ensuring durability and long-lasting results. Plus, All Pro Roofing now has a full siding and windows division. That's right, All Pro Roofing is not just about roofs anymore. All Pro Roofing, now your trusted partner for commercial roofing, multifamily projects, exterior siding, and windows. AllProRoofingLLC.com.
License number CCC 1327056.
CDC 060138.
Get Gators play-by-play on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Frank Frangie here. This Thanksgiving, only at the Southern Steer Butcher website. For a limited time, order your never-frozen Amish-raised turkey. Raised with care, free from hormones, steroids, and artificial ingredients. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
The World Poker Tour is here at Best Bet Jacksonville through November 14th. Don't miss your opportunity to become a World Poker Tour champion with 14 poker tournaments, including the Best Bet Scramble, the $5,000 no-limit hold'em main event with a $1 million guarantee, going on now through November 14th. There are still lots of great satellite opportunities to play. Visit bestbetjacks.com for the full World Poker Tour schedule and for more information. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Lauren Brooks here for Hodges Mazda. Why buy from Hodges Mazda at the Avenues? Because they strive to ensure a satisfying and comfortable car buying experience. That's why the sales staff doesn't work on commission, allowing Hodges Mazda to put your best interests first. Whether you're looking for a brand new Mazda or a pre-owned vehicle, Hodges Mazda has a large selection to help you choose from. And every vehicle purchase from Hodges Mazda comes with 2 years free maintenance and free car washes for life. Now that is peace of mind. So visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at HodgesMazda.com.
Certainly facing challenging economic times. I can't speak for all of us, but for me, comforting to know my money is in good hands with ITP Partners. Ticket here for ITP Partners, Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. I'll admit it, I don't understand a ton about the economy, higher interest rates, 401ks, but I do know as I move closer to retirement, I continue to watch my money grow. Thanks to Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, and Reed Wingate. Get in the game, guys. ITP Partners, always there to help. For more info, Chris at ITPPartners.com or call 904-312-9751.
When the sun goes down, you might think a golf course shuts down, but not at the Golf Club of Southampton. Join the gang every Thursday night for trivia with Brooke and Jason, and everybody's favorite night, Friday night on the patio, featuring local musicians, food, and drink. It's all at the Golf Club of Southampton. Great golf. You've come to expect that. But don't forget, when night falls, the fun doesn't stop. Trivia every Thursday night and Southampton's live music patio session Fridays. Call 287-PLAY to make a tee time and the good time.
Hicken here with Zero Res. Let them help you get ready for the holiday. Book today and Zero Res will clean your carpets for only $49 a room. Let's give you 25% off your tile and grout cleaning. Zero Res, man. Spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars offensive coordinator Press Taylor earlier today on the addition of Ezra Cleveland to the Jaguars offensive line.
Obviously, we like the skill set. We like what he's capable of doing. We like his experience in the league, his experience playing for one of our position coaches. Obviously, our language is different, so he's having to learn that. That's the biggest adjustment. And he's been very diligent about it. He's in the building since the day he's got here. He's been here pretty much the whole time, just meeting with Phil, meeting with Todd Washington, spending time around Brandon Sheriff and all those guys just to make sure we're on the same page and we don't miss a beat when he gets a chance to roll.
Jaguars offensive coordinator Press Taylor today on new offensive lineman Ezra Cleveland. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
It's an old rock Thursday. Music the way it should be, or at least used to be, on the Frangie Show.
Might have ended on this one. 51 years
Kinda have
ago.
to, yeah.
Today.
That's amazing.
Or 52 years ago.
So when it came out, was it just a sensation right away?
I'm trying to remember. I mean, again, I was probably 12 or 13. I probably don't have a great memory of it, you know. I was 13 if it was.
So Zeppelin was already established by the time you. I guess.
And I was never a big Zeppelin fan.
Right.
They were just okay to me. I was more of a pop guy when I was a little kid. I didn't really love rock. I mean, I liked Chicago, and I liked whatever's on the radio. I mean, I was 10, 11 years old. I liked whatever was on it. Whatever Casey Kasem counted down was good stuff for me. Okay?
Yeah.
So that was kind of my.
Was Led Zeppelin like controversial? Do you
no,
remember?
I don't. If they were, I was. I
don't
don't know. Yeah. But again, now by the time I was in college, they were all the rage.
Right.
They'd been around 15 years or whatever it was. So. But this is one of the most well-known epic songs of the rock era, if not the most.
It's probably number one.
It might be number one. It might even be.
If you're talking like hard rock.
Yeah. Well, even the rock era. Yeah. Even if you're not talking hard rock, if you're just talking the rock era, I don't know that you'll never convince me the Zeppelin's bigger than the Beatles.
Right.
But the song might be bigger than Hey Jude, Let It Be, any of the Beatles songs. You know.
Yeah.
I think you could make the argument.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the most iconic? Forget the Beatles as a group. What's the most iconic Beatles song? Let It Be? Hey Jude?
Yeah. It's hard.
I mean,
hard to
but if you had to pick one, it would have to be probably one of those two.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, of songs of the rock era, Stairway's got to be. I mean, again, the Stones have. I mean, Satisfaction.
Right.
But is Satisfaction more iconic than Honky Tonk Woman? You know,
that's the thing with the Beatles and Stones. It's just
there's a lot of stuff. There's not one song that defines them.
And Zeppelin isn't. I mean, Zeppelin's got a ton of stuff too. It's just
But that is their. But make no mistake,
That is their number.
That's
one.
the anthem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so interesting. All right, so they go for 52 years. By the way, I didn't do this because nobody would know the songs other than me, other than a few here or there. But 50 years ago today, 50 years, the Springsteen released "The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle," which Rosalita's on.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's, and again, nobody else would know that but me. But they had a song called "Incident" on 57th Street. It's right before it. It's about a guy named Spanish Johnny. That's just a fantastic song. Again, I don't ever go deep cut on the radio because nobody cares about anybody else's deep cuts, including me. Okay, so but 50 years ago today, the Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle. Florida LSU, no chance.
I think first off, if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, I think he's going to. But if he doesn't play, then certainly Florida has a chance. I mean, as you dig into Garrett Nussmeier's career, there's certainly not a lot there that dazzles you. I think he's 8 touchdowns, 6 picks, and very limited action. So it's not like they have this sensational backup behind Jaden Daniels. Their receivers are incredible. So if you're Jason Marshall and you're thinking about the NFL draft, this is a moneymaker opportunity for you. Going up against these LSU receivers, and I think Florida can score on LSU. So I think the path to Florida's upset here would be Jaden Daniels doesn't play, because if he plays, I don't think Florida can win. Jaden Daniels doesn't play. You hold Nussmeier to 27, and your offense finds a way to 31, and you win the game 31-27. That would seem plausible to me. If Jaden Daniels plays, I think LSU scoring in the 50s. So Florida's not going to be as good as Graham Mertz has been. I don't think he's going into Death Valley and putting up 54 points. So, I think if Jaden Daniels plays, really no chance. If it's Nussmeier, then I think Florida has a decent chance to go in there and win.
Yeah, certainly a chance. I don't know if I would say decent, but certainly a chance. By the way, ticket giveaways in this moment, and Ice 9 Kills coming to Daly's Place. Give me caller number 3 at 641-1010, and you're headed there. Free tickets just out of nowhere. I'm going to give them to you in this moment. And Ice 9 Kills. They're coming on November 17th to Daly's Place. Rock music. Caller number 3 at 641-1010. I made a point on the podcast you and I were talking about during the break about kind of who Billy Napier is.
Yeah, it's a really good analogy.
Because I think it is. Because we're trying to think about who Billy Napier is, and Hick and I are talking a great deal. Billy Napier is a planned-out, organized guy. He had to plan out every uniform combination in the summertime. Right. But I think not having the knack when something happens is the kiss of death for him. And I've said this before. With Billy Napier, he's the golfer that takes all the lessons and gets all the swing advice.
Has the yardage book.
Keep the left arm straight. He watches all the videos. He's got everything planned out. And the left arm is straight and the swing's beautiful and he hits it down the middle. And that's all fine until he blocks one right under a branch. And now he's got to hit a little knockdown shot that's not in the manual. That he has not had the lesson yet. And he's dead in the water. He can't improvise. He's got to follow his script so disrespectfully and so in such detail that when you got to, and that's why he's not a very good play caller. Once he gets off the script, play calling sometimes is knack and gut, and that's what I don't think he has.
I think it's a fantastic comparison because it's exactly what Billy Napier is. He is the golfer knows exactly where the pin placements are, doesn't lean on his caddy for much because he's already mapped it out and studied it. But if he gets in a situation where he's got to scramble to make par, he's going to double bogey because he's just not well equipped. He doesn't have that.
He can't adapt on
Phil
the fly.
Mickelson.
Right.
I'm going to create something here that I haven't necessarily practiced, but I have such talent and confidence in my game that I'm going to make something happen here and get myself out of this, and I'm going to salvage par, maybe even somehow miraculously get a birdie, and I'm going to move on to the next hole. But it's not going to derail my round.
Right.
Billy Napier has a lot of my round just got derailed because I didn't know how to handle being up against the tree.
And that's who I think he is. And I didn't think about that until you said you heard it on the podcast and wanted me to reset it because I think that's the deal. And in coaching parlance, can he draw one up in the dirt? Not at all.
No.
I mean that's what Billy can study plan, prepare. He probably works 28 hours a day doing all that, writes his script, has the game plan. But what happens when something doesn't work? When you realize, wait a minute, plans, the play we had for we scripted for play number 7 isn't the right idea now because we now realize the cornerback might bite on the double move. Well, he can't adjust to that. He can't see it and adjust to it on the fly. The other thing is I don't think he's a good multitasker. That's why he can't keep his eye on the special teams because he's looking down at his play sheet.
And again, why would he even be looking at the play sheet after the Boardingham catch to the 21? You've got 8 seconds left.
Right.
You're not calling a play. So at that point, his play sheet needs to basically be handed to his assistant or just throw it on the ground.
Right.
And that's when you've got to turn and you've now got to be head coach and say, clock it and everybody stay on the sideline. That's the thing about Billy Napier that's got to change, and he needs to delegate more during a game. He obviously delegates a bunch of stuff in terms of their, the infrastructure of the football program, but way too much is on him clearly during a game. And I don't necessarily have a problem with him staying on as offensive coordinator. I think the offense has found a little bit of a stride. I think it is a unit that doesn't have a great offensive line. I think he deserves credit. I mean, Trey Wilson's the best freshman receiver in the country.
Right.
I mean, he deserves credit for that. He
Yeah.
recruited him. He got him there. He's figured out a way. Now, we can complain that he doesn't get the ball enough, but I mean, he gets the ball a ton compared to other true freshmen.
Dude, recognizing players and getting them to campus is not a way. I'll say this, Graham Mertz, nobody wanted Graham Mertz.
Right.
There was no interest in this guy. When Gator fans cringed at the thought that they had to settle for
I
this
thought
guy.
it was a joke when I saw the story.
You and everybody else. But he saw something in Mertz, and he was dead-ass right. So, and who knows how many of those recruits he's right about. We just haven't seen them yet because they're freshmen. So recognizing players and getting them to campus, that is not the problem. That clearly is not. Now, did he fall too in love with his players and run off too many older guys like Xavier Henderson and others that probably could have helped a little bit because they're older? 23-year-olds are still better players than 18-year-olds. So, and that's a different conversation. But as far as recognizing talent and getting it to campus, Hayes, that's not the problem. The problem is processing it. He uses up all the timeouts. That goes back to the off-script thing. He's not a good adjuster on the fly. That's what he's not good at, is adjusting on the fly.
Well, and he coaches like he knows he's getting his 4th year. Like, year 0 was, I'm going to come in and build my culture. His 2nd year, it's, okay, I recruit a bunch of young players, and I'm going to play them. I mean, again, we've talked at length about he's played a double-digit amount of true freshmen in every game, or had up until maybe some have gotten hurt or whatever, but he's played a ton of true freshmen. It's clear next year's team is going to be basically largely comprised of 1st and 2nd year players. Now, they're going to be talented, but incredibly young. He approaches this like, well, I know I'm getting the 4th year, and by the time I get to the 4th year, I'm going to be dealing with guys. My core guys are going to be 2nd year and 3rd year players, and I'm going to have a veteran team, and we're going to have a ton of success.
Give me another analogy. There are young TV guys, not as much anymore because TV news has changed, but 20, 30 years ago, that were fantastic on the prompter. I don't mean Ron Burgundy with a goofy. I mean really fantastic on the prompter. When it was scripted, good-looking, young, looked the part, looked like a great news guy. But if they had to ad-lib, they're dead in the water. That's what Billy Napier is. He's fantastic reading the prompter. But if he's got to ad-lib, he's suddenly not a very good news guy. And that's my biggest worry. He's going to get him to campus. He's gonna, and I think they'll develop him. I think the weight program's fine. I think all that's it's. But when you have to make, and there's some coaches who, Les Miles was never good at that either. But you know what he did? He surrounded himself with coordinators who were. That at the end of the day might be the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it might be surround yourself. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But in my opinion, I don't think there's much of a chance they could beat it. I don't think Nussmeier, Jaden Daniels, Burt Jones. I don't think it matters who plays for LSU. Zach Mettenberger. I don't think there's any way they can beat LSU. I just don't see any way they can win the game. That's why Arkansas hurts so much, is because then you still have confidence you could steal one. Now, you need to steal one even worse, because the pressure would have been off. That is a really bad loss.
Bad
like
loss.
Shane Matthews told us yesterday. He's still not over it. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah,
I totally get it.
It's Thursday, and we're still talking about
we
it.
still are talking about it. We should be talking about the next game, so we'll see what winds up happening. All right, we are almost out of time. Jaguars happy hour comes up right now. That includes the Doug Peterson Show. Tomorrow, by the way, we got a lot of stuff to cover. I do want to remind you, we'll be live at Strings, and listen to this. We've been telling you this all week long. It's Veterans Day celebration. Any military, active military or retired military, any members of the military, Strings is going to feed you for free tomorrow. You get out to Strings anytime afternoon. You tell them you're an active military or retired military. You get a free barbecue lunch and a free beer. One lunch, one meal, one beer, lunch or dinner. Compliments of our friends at Strings. The Firewatch folks, Mike Fleming and company, will be out there as well. So we're certainly excited about that. It's going to be a fun show on a Friday, and we hope you'll come by and see us. We love going to Strings on the north side over there in Springfield, so we hope you will join us. That'll do it for our program. For Hayes, for RJ, and for the absent Lauren Brooks, I'm Frank Frangie. Jaguars Happy Hour is next on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.